we of course love that you have your cameras on, but if you don't want to have it on during the whole workshop, feel free to turn it off, and then when we get to the Q&A session or questions or anything, you can turn it on again. Perfect. Okay, so let me start by sharing my screen. Sharing my screen. I'm going to share all of it because I need you to see everything. Well, we officially welcome you to the AYCH Ambassadors Training, which is presented by me, but I'm also supported by my other colleagues, Lali and Barbara. Thank you for being here as well. So today we're gonna work on the basic principles of video editing. I'm going to assume that you don't have any background at all in the DaVinci Resolve, which I think it will be the case. And here is the agenda. Right now we're in the welcome section. I'm gonna give you an introduction to the software, which is called DaVinci Resolve. It's quite easy to use. You'll see in a few minutes. And then basically the whole session is gonna be getting started with the software. We're gonna start with the absolute basics, like we'll look at how you can import media into the software, how you can start telling your story in the timeline. And at the end, we'll look at also at how you can render your video and share it with whoever you want to share it with. So basically, by the end of this workshop, you'll have a good sense of how you can use DaVinci Resolve. And if you want, you can follow along with today using the sample files that I already shared with you previously. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna give Lali the microphone right now.
Fantastic, thank you. So I just wanted, I'm assuming most of you are familiar with the AYCH project. Today is actually the last day of the project, and then we'll be continuing on with a new project under a different name, but something similar. So yes, the AYCH project was aimed at youth skills development and youth entrepreneurial development throughout the Atlantic area. We are the Irish partner for the project. So we've been focusing mostly on getting Irish youth involved and getting Ireland part of the project. So yes, basically this is part of our ambassador training that we have been conducting over the last few weeks. And the idea is to just give young people in the AYCH network or in the project some exposure to training opportunities and specific skills that they can take forward after the project has ended. So on the next slide, you will see the team from our side. So Dani or Daniela today is going to present the training. She is our director of communications and she's very good at video editing. So she's sharing a bit of her experience with us. I've been working on different project events and reporting and so on. Barbara has also been assisting with in-person events, which is part of AYCH, and you can see the rest of our team listed there. So you can read about Dani's experience, but she works alongside me for the Institute for Methods Innovation. We specialize in science communication. So Dani works on the visual side, especially like media production, video production, design, and so on. And she's worked with really well-known companies like Disney and Lucasfilm. And we work on projects like AYCH on a daily basis, and we make up the communication side of our organization.
Perfect. Thank you, Lali. Okay, so let's go ahead. And a few things before we start. I know that Tatiana is not going to be able to follow along with the exercise, but hopefully Javier will be able to, Barbara, and maybe even Lali. Okay, so 2 steps that we would have to do before starting the workshop. The first one would be to download and install the free version of DaVinci Resolve. And if you haven't done so, I'm going to show you how to do that. Let me just move this bar over here. So you would go to blackmagicdesign.com, which is the company that has the software. And then you will scroll down and you will see here DaVinci Resolve 18.5. You will see that it says free download. You click here and you can see here some of the movies or videos or clips that have used DaVinci Resolve. So it's a really, really good software. And the best thing about this software is that it has the free version and it has, of course, the paid version. If you in the future want to acquire the paid version, the good news is that it's a one-time payment. So you would only need to pay $295, which is not that, it's not too cheap, to be honest, but it's going to be just a one-time payment and you're going to have it for the rest of your life. And the standard version of DaVinci Resolve, which is the one that you're going to be downloading today, or maybe you already have it in your PC or your computer, is free. And you can basically do everything that you want to do when it comes to video editing. The only difference with the paid version is that, for example, it lets you render over 4K. So the quality of the video, you can render it to a higher quality, like 4K, and probably 8K, I'm pretty sure. And of course, offers some other fancy things that probably not everybody needs, especially if you're just starting out with video editing. Okay, so you just click here, you fill in some information about yourself, and then you're set. You download it and you install. Okay, so let's go back here. The other thing is that we already shared some source files that we'll be working with today. I'm sure that Lali is sharing Lali is going to share the link in a few seconds to everyone download the files in case you don't have it. We will see what they are in a few minutes, so you don't have to worry. But make sure you download them, and have them in a special folder. Excellent. Okay, before we start, anyone has any questions about the software, technical requirements? If you have any problems, downloaded anything, just let me know. Let us know, either here in the chat, or you can interrupt me anytime. Feel free to do that, please. We're a pretty small group, so I don't think that's gonna get quite messy. Perfect, so before we start, let me share with you the process of the video production. So first, we do have like 3 main stages, or 3 main steps. The first one is pre-production, which is where you have the concept, the idea, you plan everything out. For example, the video that we're going to be editing today, it has to do with an interview that one of the partners of the AYCH project had with one of the ambassadors. So in this case, the concept and the planning was like, okay, so what kind of questions are we going to ask her? What is the objective of this interview? Where are we going to conduct the interview? With whom, where, when? That's the pre-production. The production stage is where you go with your video camera, with your microphones, with the lights in case you need lights, and you have the interview. That's the production process. And then we have the third stage, which is called the post-production, and that's the one that we're going to be focusing today, which is just basically editing and making sure that everything makes sense, that you put everything together in the right order, and that it looks good. That's basically the 3 main stages. Now, I have a key tip for you in case you intend to do this in the future, in your job or anything. Avoid saying we can fix it in post. You can't imagine the amount of trouble that we get into in post-production, especially when you're editing a video and you notice that there are some mistakes that could have been prevented during the pre-production or production process. So I don't know, think of anything. Maybe the microphone wasn't working properly and the audio technical guy noticed it but didn't care, and he was like, yeah, we'll fix it in post. And then you, as a video editor, will suffer. Of course you will do it. It's not impossible to fix things, but it will make your life easier if you just get everything right in the production process. So I have a few examples. Of course, this is like mainstream, but I don't know if any of you watched Game of Thrones, for example. They forgot that they left the Starbucks cup there in one of the main scenes of the final season. It's easy to remove, but it shouldn't happen. And they had to fix that on post. The other example that I have for you, and these are just like visual mistakes, but you can have it with light, with microphone. Maybe audio is the worst thing because it's quite difficult to get it right if it comes in a pretty bad shape for editing. In this case is, for example, The Mandalorian, and they had a guy just standing in the back, and he just appeared in the shot, and it was like, what? And they didn't fix it. Actually, this was spotted by fans, and they were like, yeah, there's a crew guy in the back. So those are the kinds of mistakes that you can avoid by planning well and just making sure that all the footage that you have is good. And of course, in low budget or small projects, it's easier to solve. In the case, for example, if you're having an interview with someone and you notice that you can see the microphone on top, well, it's not that bad if you say, okay, so can we repeat, please, this question? And you just take out the microphone. Okay, so before you start editing your video, which is what we're gonna do today, you also need to do some steps. You also have to conduct some steps first. And these are just the ones that I think are important. Of course, maybe there are more. But the first thing would be to back up your media, because you're gonna be messing around with the files. And just think, if you mess with the original file and you don't have the backup file, well, you're in a pretty bad place to be. Then you need to organize your footage as well. Name your footage and your media, because sometimes it just gets like this code, super long names like DCS, something, 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 a bunch of numbers. So it is easier if you just say, okay, so this is an interview of Isabel. You're gonna see that the interview is with a girl named Isabel. And this is part 1, this is part 2, this is the music background that we're gonna have, this is the B-roll, this is blah, blah, blah. You need to set your goals for the video. What do you want to achieve with the video? And of course, you need to preview your footage and select the shots that you want to use, because probably, I don't know, it happens that you needed to ask a question a couple of times, maybe 3, 4 times. And then, okay, so the third time it was the best option. So you will just choose that one and use it for the video editing instead of having the whole set of versions. And of course, pick the music you want to use, the background music, if you're going to use background music. Okay, so let's go. Any questions right now before we start with the big thing, which is going to be the software? Nothing? Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to minimize this, and let me just, I'm going to stop sharing just because I need to make sure that I'm going to be sharing with the audio. Okay, share sound. It's fine. Okay. So I have DaVinci Resolve here. So if you have it on your computer, now it's the time to open it. Double click. I also have all my source files here in the File Explorer, but I will show it to you in a few minutes. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna see is this window. And this window is called your project manager. This is where you open, where you save projects. All your projects that you've been working on will be here as well. So let's click on new project or untitled project. And what it will do is it will open this. If you see, it still says untitled project. My first step would be to name the project just in case. So to do that, you will need to say save project, and then it will ask for a name. Okay, so you can say, I don't know, video editing workshop, and you will save. And that's it. So every time you save the project, it will already have a name and it will be on your computer. You won't lose it. Perfect. So you will start seeing this. I know it can see, it can look a little bit intimidating, but don't worry. I will explain everything. So the main interface, let's start with that. Resolve is designed to pretty much do everything that you need to do after you're done shooting. So from managing and organizing your files to editing to color correction, all the way to the final render. You'll see in the bottom here, oh, I have the share screen here. You'll see in the bottom here that we have some buttons, and that will switch to different pages. I like to call them workspaces. I'm going to bring some media here in the edit. I'm going to bring some media here, and just to give you an example. So this is just to show you what each of these workspaces do. So we have a media here, and the first page is called, we're not gonna check any of this because the media is just where you have your media, you organize it, and you manage it. The cut is in case that you want to cut some of the media, like the interview or the audio or anything that you want to do. The main page or the main workspace we're going to be using today is called the edit workspace. And this is where you do all your editing. This is where you take your media and put it together as a story. And we also have different workspaces here. For example, diffusion, which is just a fancy name for color correction. Oh, no. Yeah, diffusion. Sorry, I was just, I was thinking of the color workspace. The color workspace, as the name says, is designed to do really fancy color correction and adjust your images. So for example, if I drag here the media, and I will show you how to do this in a few minutes. This is just for the sake of showing you how this works. You'll see here that you can start messing around with the color, and you see how this changes here, and the temperature, the contrast, you can play around with the contrast. So the color is just the color correction workspace. And of course, we will just say, yeah, let's not move that. Then we have the Fusion workspace. With this particular workspace, we're not going to use it today because it's made for fancy effects and graphics. So for example, if you want to have a big explosion for your video, you would add it here. Anything that has to do with animations, you would work it here in the Fusion workspace. We also have the Fairlight workspace, which is where you can get really detailed with your audio, like adjust the volume levels or getting rid of some noises or background noises, basically. And then we have the Deliver workspace, which is where you render your videos for all kinds of different outputs. So you will see that we have different formats up here. Resolve already has some like predetermined formats for Twitter, Vimeo, YouTube, or the standard ones, which are the ones that we see here. Okay, so we really can do everything that we need to do in a project, all within Resolve, and I'm gonna show you how. Okay, so right now, do you have any questions before we start? Remember that you can interrupt me at any time. I'm gonna get rid of this so we can start by seeing the same thing. Okay. So no one has any questions. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna click on workspace and I'm gonna reset the layout. This, you don't have to do this. This is just so I know that we all are seeing the same thing on the screen. So this is the predetermined way to see the window. Okay, so first thing is first. We do have the source files here. This is my file explorer, and I have all the files that I already shared with you. What we need to do first is that we need to import your media. And by media, I'm referring to video files, audio files, images, etc., everything. Now, in the upper left-hand corner here, we have our media pool section. Imagine that you're about to cook something. Whenever you're cooking something, you need to have ingredients. And you can think of the media pool as your fridge or your cabinet. And this is where all the ingredients will live before you actually do anything with them. So the first thing we need to do is to bring in some ingredients. So let's go to the media pool here, right click anywhere and go down to import media. This will open your file explorer. In my case, I know where they are. They are in the AYCH folder, of course, ambassadors, training, introduction to video editing, and then I have source files. And what I would do is I will select it and just click open. In this case, I will not select these files, the color codes and the Word document, because I will not use it. They are just reference document. Okay, so I open them and you will see that they are here. Another thing to do this, I'm gonna just delete it if they want to delete. Okay, another way to do this, of course, is the quite easy drag and drop method. So let's drop them here. So either way, it's good, whatever you feel more comfortable with. Okay, so the first thing is that we're gonna start by, let me check what I need to explain to you first. Okay, the first thing that I need to explain to you is what's this? One thing you can see here, I have two viewers. So this is one viewer and this is another viewer. If you double click on one of the footage, you will see that the footage will appear here and you will be able to move around the footage. This viewer, the one on the left, is called the source viewer. And this is like picking an ingredient from your fridge and looking at it like, oh yeah, this apple looks good. Let me see, I will use it. Yeah, I like it. Perfect. It lets you see and figure out what it is, decide if you like it or not. And this is a great way to preview the media that it's in your pool, in your media pool. And you can do this with everyone, with every footage that you have. So double click here and we can see the B-roll 3, or you can select this one, double clicking, or the main interview, and you will have it here. This one has audio and you could hear it. Okay, so everyone is clear now. I'm just gonna check the chat. Okay, everything is good. The timeline, I'm gonna explain to you what this is, but first I need to explain to you what's a timeline. The timeline is the area down here. And this is the place where you're gonna build your story. So right now, I only have pieces of the story. And what I'll do is, for example, grab one of the media here and just drop it. Now, you can see that the media that I just dropped in the timeline appeared here because this one is called the timeline viewer. This is where you can see your actual project. So the final product, this is where you will see how you are cutting things, how they're transitioning to other scenes, and the whole mix, not just one ingredient. So you can see the ingredients here, and you can see whatever you're working on a timeline here. To be honest, I'm not a very big fan of having two viewers because I can't focus properly. So if you're like me, you can switch it off by just clicking on this icon here. You can see here in the upper right hand. So you can see the dual viewer mode, or you can see just one viewer. Remember, you can interrupt me anytime, so don't worry. I'm gonna stick with just the timeline viewer just so we can focus more on whatever we're editing today. But if you want to keep it like this, don't worry, it's your choice. Okay, now I'm gonna explain how the timeline works. The timeline is just like if you're going to write a sentence. So if you're going to write a sentence, you'd say, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and so on. And you will do the same here, but with media files. I've already kind of structured the story for you, so you don't have to do that. But the structure of what we're doing today is the following. So we're going to start with an introductory scene that will show one logo. Then we will have the interview. And finally, we will have a closing scene with the other logos. So that's it. Introduction, interview, closing scene. Perfect. Any questions right now? I'm gonna just get rid of this. I'm gonna just check if everything is good. Good. Perfect. Okay. So I'm guessing we're all good. So let's start with the first phase, with the first step, which is going to be create an introductory scene. To do this, I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do first. This is what we're gonna basically end up with today, roughly, okay? We're gonna start with an introduction. Then we will start with the interview. We will add a lower third, which is the name of the interviewee. Then we will add some B-roll. As you can see, we will learn how to add some cool transitions between the scenes. Okay, I'm just gonna, some transitions, B-roll, blah, 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 blah. And then the closing scene, which is this one. And then we're gonna just add some logos. So the first thing that we need to do is this. And it's pretty easy. Don't stress about it. You will see here that you will have different options. The ones that we're going to be using today are basically two. The media pool, which is where you will be able to see whatever you're working with, and the effects tip. Of course, a key tip here is that if you're gonna, I don't know, if you're gonna open the effects option, you will see that it appears down here. But if you want to have it like zoom out, you would first close the media pool, which you can do just by clicking media pool, and then you can just open it by just clicking it again. And effects works exactly the same. If I open media pool here, you will see that it will show on top of the effects tab as well. So, okay, let's close the media pool. Let's open the effects pool. And then you'll see that one of the great things about Resolve is that it lets you do some pretty good stuff with presets, which are basically just like predetermined templates that you can use and you don't have to worry about anything else. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go to the toolbox and we need to go to generators, because we first need to, we first need to add a solid background. Remember, we had a white background and then we could see a logo on top of it. So you can see here that you have different options. If you scroll over each one of them, you will see how they look in the viewer. In this case, I just need a solid color. So I'm gonna click it and I'm gonna drag it and drop it here. So I have the solid color here, but it's black. I can't see anything. And what happens if you really need to change the color? Okay, so on the timeline, you will click on the footage that you want to edit, and you will go over here in something that is called the inspector. You don't have to worry about any of this right now because we're not going to use them today. So imagine that this doesn't exist. The inspector is basically the tab where you will be able to change everything that has to do with a particular footage or media file. In this case, because it's just a solid color, well, the only option that you have is to change the color. So you can double click here and you can select between the basic colors or the custom colors. You can add them, or you can use this bit here, which is the one I'm going to use. White is quite, oh, wait, that didn't change anything. Okay, let's use this. So you can see here it's white and you can preview the timeline, and I'm going to hit OK. Perfect. Everything is clear until now, right? We just added the solid color, drag it and drop it here, and then we just changed the color. Perfect. I'm gonna show you one of the, oh, hi, Andrea. We just started. We just opened the software and I just added a solid color background using the effects tab, generators, and solid color. The other thing that I need you to learn how to do is imagine that you have the solid color here, but you say, okay, right now the solid color is 5 seconds long, but I need it to be 8 seconds long. How do we do that? So it's pretty easy. There are two ways of editing the length of your clips. The first method is called trimming, okay? So you can grab either the beginning or the end of your clip, and you will see that the mouse cursor changes to a bracket, okay? So for example, here, I grab it here, and then I just start moving it and say, okay, so I want it to last 8 seconds. And then you will see that it lasts 8 seconds. You can do the same with the beginning. If you change your mind in the end and say, no, yeah, I want it to be 5 seconds. So let's go ahead and move it around. Okay, so 5 seconds again. That's it. You can also, of course, move 2 edges of a clips. Let me show you how to do that. You don't have to do this. It's just for the exercise purposes. As you can see, now we have 2 brackets instead of 1. So you can move around and you can just adjust the length. In this case, of course, this media file, for example, it can't be longer because the media file is just it has a specific length. So, but let's just imagine that this one was like this, because I just cut it or made it smaller. And then I decide, yeah, I know that it has some extra footage here because I just got rid of it. So I'm just gonna move it here, and I want the solid color to last, I don't know how long it is right now, but 2 seconds, and then the B-roll. So you can move around 2 media files and just adjust the length. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this because we don't need that. I'm gonna go ahead and put it at 8 seconds. That's called trimming. And the good thing about trimming is that you don't actually cut the media file. So that's what happened with the B-roll. If you just trim, you know that here, although you can't see it, you know that the media file is longer. So if you change your mind, you can just go back and say, yeah, I want it like this. The other method is called split. And for this one, we're going to use this little tool, this blade here. You're going to click on it. And then let's say that you decided that this B-roll, you just want this part. So you just cut it. And if you go back to this selector tool, these are the 2 tools that we're going to be using today. Splitting and selection mode. As you can see, you split it, and you couldn't do that with trimming because you still have, it's the same file. In this case, for example, if I get rid of this one by clicking, I don't know, delete or backspace, you'll see that it disappeared. And if I want to trim it back again, oh yeah, you can do. Sorry about that. I thought I usually work with Adobe Premiere, and you can do that because once you trim a clip, it's gone. So that's one of the cool things about DaVinci. You don't have to worry about this. Okay, so never mind whatever I said just right now. You can use trimming or blade, and the media file is going to be complete all the time. Sorry about the confusion. Okay, so now we know how to adjust the length. Of course, to move it around, you just click on it and just drag it like this. And you can also move things up and down, which I'm gonna explain to you in a little bit. Let's say, well, we're gonna use that for the logo right now. Okay, so let's stick with 5 seconds here. 5 seconds. So we have a 5-second introduction, just a solid color, but we still need the logo. And for the logo, you will find a file that says logo intro. What you will do is you will click on it, drag it, and you can see that if I put it here, if I put it besides well, on one side of the solid color, you will see that the video will do this. You will see the solid color, and then you will see the logo. What we want is to see the logo on top of the solid color. So you would need to put it on top. And these are called tracks, video tracks, or layers, however you feel more comfortable calling them. The higher the numbers, so imagine this as a lasagna. So it's going to be layered. And of course, the layer on top is going to be the first layer that you're going to see. So for example, Right now we have the logo on top of the solid color. But what happens if we change the order? You will see here that the solid color will be on top of the logo and the logo will be nowhere to be found. Okay, so you have to bear that in mind. Whatever it's on top, it's what the viewer will see first. Okay, so any questions right now? How to trim, how to blade, the selection tool, how to move around and adjust the length. Any questions right now? Perfect. Okay. Feel free to interrupt me again. Feel free to write your questions in the chat as well. Lali's going to be checking that. Now you will say, okay, Danny, but this logo looks weird, right? It's super big and it doesn't look good. What we're going to do is, again, we're going to use the inspector tab, which is here, and you can close it and open it, as you already know. By selecting the logo, this is very important because if I select the solid color, you can see here how it changes. Here I can only change the color, but if I choose the logo, which is an image, you will see that we have a bunch of options here. Don't stress out. It's quite simple. The ones that we're going to use today are basically zoom and position. Zoom is how big you want it to be, and the position is where you want to place the logo. So, for example, in this one, you can start by clicking here and moving the mouse left and right. Okay, that's what I'm doing here. And you can just adjust the size. Let's say, yeah, 650 looks fine. But what happens if you want to change the position? Well, you can put it more to the right, more to the left, up, down. You can rotate it, for example, if you want to. You can move around stuff here. You will, the first thing that I always say is that if you want to learn how to use a software, just play around. Don't be afraid to mess things up because everything can be undone. So you don't have to worry. So this one is pitch. This one is yaw. You can flip it. And the anchor point is just where you want it to be. Okay, if you say, no, none of this really works, then you can just reset it using this little thing right here. Okay, and each one of these options already has that. So if you change your mind about the rotation angle and say, no, this one can be restarted or reset. Okay, so let's go back to the zoom. 650 we said. You can also put it like with your keyboard. Oh, it's gonna be 0.650. The position here, I think, is quite good. Probably it's a little bit charged over the right side, so I would change it a little bit like this. But that's on you. You can decide what you want to do. Okay, so congratulations. We already have the introduction scene, and it's gonna look something like this. Pretty straightforward, nothing too flashy or fancy. It's just the logo on top of the white background. Okay, so now we're gonna start with the big stuff, which is basically adding the interview footage. In case you have your effects window open, just click on it again. It's gonna close and open the media pool. And here you will find the interview, which is this one. What you will do is just drag it. Okay. Now you will see that the timeline or the project is getting too long and I can't actually see what's going on in the end of the timeline. So you can adjust that by just using this little thing here, which is called the zoom in and zoom out. In case you want to see the whole footage, the whole project, you can just go to the minimum. And if you wanted to get like real detail with something, you can just zoom in. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna keep it like this so you can see everything. First thing is first. I would suggest for you to cut the interview and just keep the parts where Isabel is talking. Let me just have a sip of water. Perfect. I didn't share this with you because I wanted to show it to you here during the workshop. But for example, for this interview, we do have the transcription, and that makes your life easier, so much easier, because you know what's going on, and it already has the timestamps. Like, okay, so in second 21.7, Isabel is going to say her name, right? You will see here there the words, the bolded words are the ones that the interviewer was saying. So you will see here, they ask her to present herself. So I'm Isabel Drumright, I'm from the United States, blah, blah, blah. And then the second question is, when did you participate in the project? And then she explains that. And how was it? And then she says, oh yeah, it was great. And then they ask, what are you doing now, professionally or as a student? And then she says, I'm a student here, here, here. This is what I'm doing. And the last question is, what tips would you like to give to AYCH participants of the project, right? When I first read this, I noticed that here, this Isabel Drumright, I'm a student at l'École de Design Nantes Atlantique, and she's studying the master's. This part was really similar to this one. You can see here, I'm a student at the local design, and I'm currently working on my long-term project for degree. You will see that sometimes when you get interview footage, probably the original order that you have in the file, it's not going to be the best order. So this is, of course, a creative decision that you'll need to make when you're editing a video. But the creative decision that I took for this video was to move this part where she talks about what she's doing, to move it right here. And maybe if you see here, if you're saying I'm a student and I'm studying the master's for care design, probably this one will not work because you will duplicate the content. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna edit the interview first to make sure that it makes sense, and then we're gonna start adding all the fancy things. Okay, so what I would do is I would cut the interview and then get rid of this part and then just put it together. Let's do that, okay? I'll show you how to do that. And this footage is quite simple because you can see down here, this is the audio track of the interview. And these little things that you see here are audio waves. And that tells you that that's the moment where you have sound. So you know, I'm positive that in this, the bill is going to start talking. And let's see if that's the case.
Just my first and last name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You're ready when you're ready.
I look at you or I look at
ready.
You can look at me.
Okay.
Here probably is the interviewer.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Could you tell us who you are?
Sure.
And here
Hi,
is where,
my name is.
here is where the actual interview starts. So you see here, you can see here that I'm messing around with the zooming option, zooming tool. So I know that here is where the interview starts.
Hi, my name is Isabel Drumright, and I'm from the United States.
So the first thing we're gonna do is gonna trim. Remember this? Well, clip the blade. We're gonna cut it. Okay, so click on this, the blade edit mode, and you can cut it here. Ding. It's gonna be easier if you already have this thing here, because it's gonna just cut on top of whatever on the section that you already or are already selected. Okay, so we just cut that. And we know that this part, we're not going to be using it. So you can get rid of it. There are basically two options to get rid of media on your timeline. And the first one is if you hit backspace. So let's do this, backspace. You can see that it leaves a gap of where the footage that you just deleted was. The other option would be to press delete. The delete is the button that it's above the arrows on the keyboard. If I do that, and if I click in and if I press delete, you will see that it will automatically put all the media files together, all the footage. So however you feel more comfortable doing this, sometimes it will be better to use backspace, sometimes it will be better to use the delete option, but you will have two options. Okay, so we have the first bit. If this moves.
From the United States, and I'm a student at
I'm a student.
and I'm studying the Master for Care Design.
Okay, and here you know that the interview is going to be
Where did you
asking some
participate?
questions. Here, I'm gonna zoom in just to make sure that I don't cut anything that has to do with Isabel. I'm gonna use the blade tool again, cut it, selection tool again, move it
Where did you participate?
over here. And I know that here is where Isabella is gonna start talking again. So I'm gonna use the blade again, cut it, selection tool, select the part that you want to delete, and delete. Okay, so we're gonna do that with all the interview
For Care
footage.
Design. I participated in
See?
the
So it goes from exactly
for Care Design.
one answer
I participated in
to the next answer, and you don't have to listen to the interviewer. We're gonna do this for all the interview footage.
Cool.
Here you can see that she stopped talking, so blade, and then she starts talking again here. Just make sure, blade. Don't worry right now if you leave here some like remnants of the interviewer. Don't worry, we're gonna check how we can get rid of that. So click on it, delete. Let's do that with everything else. I'm gonna do that quite quickly. Oh, wait, I didn't know. Wait, here.
experience, especially giving some different students and
She
professionals from
keeps
different countries all over Europe,
talking,
and also
keeps
the first time to become a
talking.
leadership manager of a team.
Perfect. We can cut it here. Again, selection tool. Let's go ahead. And then we know here that she will start talking.
So now I'm a
Let's cut it. Let me know if anyone has any questions about this process. I selected, I deleted. She keeps talking. She keeps talking. Here, you can use the bar down here to move around as well. Okay, this is a really long answer, but she ends here. So let's cut it here. Selection. And this is the last question.
So the advice I would give
That's it, or the advice that she would give to the AYCH ambassadors. Okay, select it and delete. Okay, so we now have, well, of course, we have the last bit. Like, thank you. Okay, so we can cut that as well. Let's get rid of that, delete. Okay, so we are all supposed to have this. This is basically everything that has to do with the interview. And what we need to do is we need to make sure that the audio is good, right? So the first thing we would need to do, and this is the one thing that we're going to use the audio effects here again. So you can close the media pool effects, and you will see that here, the audio effects are here, audio effects. You will see this, you will see that we're not going to the Fairlight workspace because if you go here, you can go like super detailed with some stuff like, yeah, I need to get rid of some bass or some high notes or some noises, specific noises, but we're not gonna do that because probably that would take like another workshop. So we're just gonna stick with the Fairlight presets, okay? So let's see what we need to do. Let's hear.
From the United States, and I'm a student at l'École de Design Nantes-Atlantique, and I'm studying in the...
I hope I'm not the only one hearing this, but you can listen, you can hear something like a shh in the background. Can you notice it?
Masters for Care Design. I participated in the May 2023
that is something that has to do with the microphone, and it's super normal if you're not using like a super good microphone. It's very normal. That kind of noise can be like erased or enhanced by using something that is called, let me look for it, that it's called the rumble, which I don't see here. Where are you? If someone sees it, just let me know. But I don't know why I can't see it. maybe transitions, no. Okay, don't worry. I think it's the Esser. It's gonna be the Hummer, probably. Okay, yeah. Okay, so if you want to apply an audio effect on a file, it's gonna be the same as always. You click, you drag it, and you put it on top of the media file that you want to have the effect on. And this is going to open this pop-up window, and you can hear this. You can hear how the audio will sound like with this effect, and then you can also compare it with how the audio sounds without the effect. So for example, here, let's say that we want to have the Hammer.
Hi.
If you want to press play, you can just hit your space bar. That's what I just did. Space bar, listen.
Hi, my name is Isabelle Drumright, and I'm from the United States, and I'm a student at l'École de Design.
If you listen to this, nothing really changed. So we're gonna just move around with the options that we have here.
Atlantique, and I'm studying in the...
Yeah, I'm just checking that probably this wasn't the effect that we needed. I don't know what's going on. Okay, let's start. Today, I want you to use two effects. First, the dialogue processor. It's like the basic thing that you can do whenever you have like some not very good audio quality in terms of people talking. So let's do that. Dialogue processor. And let's see how it looks. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was totally confused. The dialogue processor, you can see here that it has a lot of options. So this is a really good preset in Resolve because it lets you, like, for example, the rumble is, for example, when you hear the microphone moving around. So you hear like this. The deep pop is, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but when someone talks like really loud to a microphone, sometimes the P's or the T's can really pop out. That's basically the name. So you can adjust it here. The DS is if you want to decrease the volume of the S's, like, and then we have these other things that are just effects. So, okay, default. It's already on default, but we have a female interviewee. So we will go with female. VO refers to voice over, okay? So let's hear how it sounds.
A Masters for Care Design. I participate.
Well, here you can see that it feels, okay.
Hi, my name is Isabelle Drumright, and I'm from the United States, and I'm a student at l'École de Design Atlantique, and I'm studying in the master.
It doesn't do wonders, of course, but it's making it better, okay? So you say yes, okay. Let's leave it like that. Perfect. And you will have then the effect here. And you can see that this audio track specifically has the FX, okay? This little thing here. Let's add the dialogue processor to all of the audio files, okay? So what we're gonna do is gonna select them and put it here and then say female, and that's it, okay? Let me just close it, and then you will see that all of them have already the FX. One thing that I would do that I actually didn't do right now is that I would enhance the audio before cutting the video footage. That's one of the things. For example, you can learn from my mistakes, and that's one of the mistakes that I had today, because in that way you will have the same media, the same audio effects on every track. Okay, it doesn't matter because right now we only have, what is it, 5 footages here. Well, clipped footage, and you can just select them all and just adjust the effects. Let's also add, let me see if there is something else that we can use. The noise reduction. Let's see if that works. Noise reduction. And let's see how it works. Here it is. So you'll see a major improvement here. Let's start with the rumble and hiss. I'm gonna press play.
Masters for Care Design. I participated in the May 2023 International Creative Jam, which happened here at our school. It was a great experience, especially to be able to meet so many
Did you
different
hear that?
students and professionals from different countries all over Europe, and also for the first time to take on that leadership role
Perfect.
as the manager of the team.
So we now
So
know
now I am a student at l'École de
we
Design,
need to do
and
this
I'm
for
currently
each
working
one of
on
them
my long-term
because
project
it
for my
opened a
degree,
window for
and
each.
it's focused on.
Let me just pause it. It opened a window for each one. Okay, so now we have it. Let's hear it.
Hi, my name is Isabel Drumright, and I'm from the United States, and I'm a student at
Perfect.
and
It
it's
sounds so
focused
much
on,
better.
helping people with PTSD, and I'll be working on that for the
It's
next
not
year.
great,
And
but we're getting there. Okay, so you can play around with the effects that they have here. You can add delay, for example, or echo if you're editing someone in a canyon or something and you needed to have like more audio effects, you can do this here, okay? So this is the audio effect tab here. Now, we just cut the important bits of the interview, but we need to make sure that we didn't leave like anything weird in between the scenes. And by weird, I'm referring to something about the interviewer. We don't want to hear the interviewer at any time.
Hi, my name.
Okay, so here at the beginning, we can't hear anything. Here is the end of the first clip. Let's listen.
I participate.
Nothing. Perfect. And then we will go to the end of the second clip, which is here.
It was a great.
Nothing.
It was.
Oh no, we can hear something here. Here.
It was.
Or it was just my imagination, probably. Okay, no, I think it was my imagination. Then we will go to the end of this one. Okay.
So
Nothing, so we're good. The end of this one, which is the longest one, here.
So
Nothing, so we're good. And the end of this one, nothing. Well, you can hear, like, I'm really being too detailed here, but you can hear someone in the background by the end of this. And if that happens, I mean, in this case, it's going to be super simple what we're going to do about the audio. But if that happens and you want to just get rid of this part in the end, you will do this. You will drag and drop this little bit here. And what it will do is just add a fade out, okay? So this is the like white little, what is it, like a bookmark or something? And you can drag however you want to drag it. Okay, so let's see how it sounds if I do this. Of course, we're not gonna do that, but I just wanna show you what it does.
So just go 100% in.
You could hear the fade out, okay? So in this case, I just want the fade out to be here where we can probably hear some of the interviewers, and that's it, okay? That's how we check, like, in a super basic way, the audio. Any questions right now? Perfect. Okay, so remember that I told you that I would move around some of the clips of the interview to make more sense. Let's do that right now. We start with Isabel saying,
Hi,
my name is
Isabel Drumright, and I'm from the United States.
Here we have.
And I'm a student at l'École de Design
Perfect.
Nantes-Atlantique, and I'm studying in the Masters for Care Design.
And then she goes to here, I participated in the May International Creative Jam, but we need to have this before that. What we're gonna do is that, what I would do is I'm gonna select all the media files and I'm just gonna move them right here. And then I'm just gonna check where is it that the part that I need is, which is, I think.
It was a great experience.
It was a great experience, no?
So now I am a student at l'École de Design.
Here it is, okay. And this is this part. What I would do is just click on it and drag it here. And then you can just move around things, put it here and put it here. And we just moved around the clips, okay? So right now we have this.
Student at l'École de Design Nantes-Atlantique, and I'm studying in the Masters for Care Design. So now I am a student at l'École de Design.
If you noticed, we do have a duplicate of the content. Like I'm a student at l'École de Design. Let's get rid of this one because in this one, she doesn't get that into much detail about the masters that she's studying. So it's going to be the second one.
So now I am a student at l'École de Design.
And here is where we would cut it. Or here, cut it, and delete. And let's see how it sounds.
A master's for care design. And I'm currently working on my long-term
okay.
project.
It's not like the smoothest transition, of course.
And I'm studying in the master's for care design. And I'm currently working on my long-term projects for my.
What do you think? Now that I'm listening to it, probably it would have been better to keep the other one. So I'll just press Control C. Let's see. Let's see how it sounds if we get rid of the other one.
And I'm studying design non-atlantique.
And then I will cut it here because she will start talking about.
And I'm studying in the master's for care.
What happens if we delete this? And then.
Non-atlantique. So now I am a student at l'École de Design, and I'm a student at l'École de Design.
Oh no, it was before that. Okay.
In the United States.
In the United States, let's cut this. Select it and delete it. Now let's listen to it.
From the United States. So now I am a student at l'École de Design, and I'm currently working on my.
So you can see that it sounds a little bit better because the other one, it was like and I'm a student and I'm a master's degree, and the tone was different. So this one sounds a little bit better.
So now I am a student at l'École de Design, and I'm currently.
Great. Okay. So let's say we're happy with it. Next thing that we need to do. We're going to add all the fancy things by the end. Right now, we're going to focus on the ending scene. Okay. The ending scene. Do you remember how it was? Let me show it to you. This was the ending scene. Okay. So it's going to be blue background, sorry. And then the logos that I shared with you. Any questions right now? Feel free to ask me if you're having any troubles with the software. You can't find a button, anything, please.
Daniel, I have a question about when you made the cut of the dialogue. It's important to look at the image, nowhere. For example, if an arm is down and in the next frame is up, it's important to cut in the same way the video and then put the audio.
Exactly.
Or in the same piece.
Yeah, because otherwise it looks weird. And we're gonna check that. I mean, I'm not gonna get into that much detail, but we're gonna check how you can smooth the transition just so it doesn't look weird. So yeah, totally. Any other questions? Thank you, Javier. Perfect. Okay. So let's go ahead. So we're gonna create the ending scene. And we're going to do exactly the same as we did for the opening scene. Let's close the media pool, effects. And then I'm going to go to generators, remember? Solid color, I drag it here. And then you will see that it's black again. In the media files that I sent you, I included something called color codes. In this case, I added the blue color because it's the color that we are going to be, well, we use in the project. I'm going to copy and then can put it here. Okay. This color is called the hex color or the HTML color. It's just a code. Each color has different codes. One is the hex, one is the RGB, the CMYK, but usually the one that we use is called the hex or the HTML. Hex is HEX, okay? Okay, so we have the blue background here, but we do need the logos. And I'm gonna close the effects tab, and I'm gonna go here. You can see here that we have this one, and this one. Let's start with the first one. I'm gonna put it on top, remember? And then you'll find yourself with the problem that what happens if I want to add another logo on top of it? Let's see what happens. You can do that, and you can create a third track. So you can see here, I will just right click on the timeline here and add track here. Perfect. So here is where I'm gonna add the second logo, but we need another track because we do have another logo. So let's go here and add track. You can move around here on top, and then let's add this one. So right now everything looks super messy. Don't worry. You can also adjust the size of each of the panels by just hovering over here and just dragging everything up and down. Perfect. So let's start adjusting the zoom and adjusting the position of the logos. The first one, let's just make them smaller so we can see them all. So I'm gonna just click on them, and then on the inspector tab here, remember, I'm just gonna say, yeah, let's go with 500. And then the third one, let's also go with 500. Probably we will need to adjust the sizes even more. So the position, the first one, let's see where it goes. Here, it's still too big. So I would go with probably 300. I'm just doing this by just my judgment, nothing too fancy. The second logo, probably, let me see. Okay, it's here. Let me first move the one that we have on top because I can't see a thing. So I'm gonna do this. Let's go with the second logo. Okay, so probably a little bit more, a little bit smaller. And then we can move it around here, probably a little bit down. And then the third one here. The third one is still too big, so let's put it like this. And of course, you can follow some basic graphic design principles, like with the composition and everything, but with the interest of time, because we only have 15 minutes left, I'm gonna just put it right here, okay? Probably here, here, and here. Okay, we have that. I'm gonna make this smaller, and you can also, great. Okay, so we have this here. We already have the ending credit scene. Let's add a transition effect because probably this will look a little bit weird, right? Like just like, poof, like from the interview to the ending scene.
So just go 100% in.
It's like two on your face. The way to add a transition effect, it's gonna be again in the effects tab, and then you will go to video transitions. And here the good thing, the interesting about here is that you will see how each of them work. You can see blur, resolve, dissolve, cross dissolve, dip to color, dissolve. You have a lot of options, okay? So you can just choose whatever you like the most. Let's just say, yeah, let's use triangle right. And whenever you add a video transition, you usually use it to connect two scenes. So the effect, you click, drag it, and you put it in the middle of the two scenes. You can see it here, okay? Wait, here. And here you will have it. And then, poof. But then we have the thing that we have the transition, but the logos appear first. So what we're gonna do, you know that the transition is gonna end here. So by this, so at this point, the whole background, the whole blue background will be on the screen. Or with what we're gonna do is gonna add a cross dissolve effect to the logos. And I'm gonna show you what it does. So if I add it here, you will see that the logo will appear until, you can see here, the logo starts appearing until the blue background appears as well. And we're gonna do that with the three of them, okay? You can play around with this as much as you want because each of the effects can be adjusted in time. how long are they going to be, how they're going to work. But again, we don't have much time to do that right now, but there are hundreds of YouTube tutorials on this on YouTube. So you can check that
So
on your
just
free
go
time.
100%
So
in.
let's see. See, now it looks better. So you can play around with the video transitions here, and they're really, really, really useful. Okay, what's next? We need to add, as Javier already noticed, we do have this weird cuts, right?
Creative Jam is
We can
over.
actually see
I participated.
how Isabel ends in one position, and then in the next scene, she's in a different position. And that looks weird for the audience. So what you can do for this, of course, you can do what Javier already mentioned, which would be to cut like in a very detailed way to make sure that it's like a seamless cut. Or the easiest way out would be to use something that is called B-roll. The B-roll are like, it's like footage that you could put that you can put on top of something. So you can probably just disguise some awful cuts and anything that you want. They're also really good to not only make video transitions look better, but to also like it enriches your storytelling. Okay, so I already picked 3 B-rolls for you, and what we're gonna do is just we're gonna drag and drop them here. B-roll 1 would be the one to put here on top of this first. Oh wait, you can see here that we're gonna have a problem. I'm gonna show you. If I drag and drop the B-roll here, you can see that the audio of the B-roll is going to replace the audio of the interview. And that's one big problem. What I would do, probably it's not like the standard thing to do, would be to put the B-roll somewhere else, not on top of your main interview, here, select the clip, right click, and then put, let me see, I find it, link clips. You can see here. If you click here, you'll see that whenever I click on one of them, it's going to just select either the video or the audio. If you want to link them again, of course, because this is easier. If you want the audio and the video to go together and then you don't have to, you just have to move one of them, that's fine. In this case, we need to unlink the clip so you can get rid of this one. So you click this and click delete, okay? Or backspace. Now that's done. Let's go back. And you can see that the cut is here. So we need to put the B-roll on top of it. And let's see how it looks. Right now, we haven't added any video transitions.
Drum rights, and I'm from the United States. So now I'm a student at l'École de Design, and I'm currently working on my long-term project for my degree.
It's too long. Probably we don't need it. We don't need it to be that long. So, and if you notice, the B-roll doesn't quite cover the whole timeline. So what we're going to do is click on the B-roll on the inspector tab, and then you just increase the zoom. So you just make it bigger and it will cover the whole thing.
So I'm Isabel Drum Rights, and I'm from the United States. So now I am a student at l'École de Design.
Let's say, yeah, I don't want it to be that long. Let's just make it shorter. And probably the B-roll would look better if I add across the solve option effect or whatever effect you want. Let's see how it looks.
Right, and I'm from the United States. So now I am a student at l'École de Design.
Again, you can add the cross the solve.
And I'm long.
Oh wait, in the end. So the transition is, it also looks smoother.
And I'm currently working on my long
there we go.
project.
Okay, so that's the point of B-roll. Of course, not to just hide like ugly cuts, but it could be a great tool to do that. Perfect. Now let's add the other B-roll, media pool, B-roll 2. Probably, you can see the same thing. It has the audio, unlinked clips, delete. Wait, delete, no, backspace here. And then we can put it here because we do have some cuts here, some rough cuts. So probably somewhere you can place it here.
Stay connected to people even after the creative jam is over. I participated in.
Let's add some effects. Effect here. effect there. Probably we don't need it to be that long as well, just so it covers some of the ugly cuts. Okay, let's see.
People even after the Creative Jam is over. I participated in the May 2023 International Creative Jam, which happened here at our school. It was a great experience, especially to be able to meet so many different...
Perfect. And then the last one, let's go here. It also has the audio, so let's just get rid of it. Probably I'm gonna make it shorter here. And that's it, on top of the other cut here. Okay, probably, and then the media effects. You know how to do that. And it will look like this.
Countries for the first time to take on that leadership role as a manager of the team. So the advice I would give to future H...
Oh, good. You can see here that it doesn't cover the whole screen, so we're gonna just make it bigger. Let's just check that this one actually works. Yeah, works perfectly fine. Okay, so that's how you add B-roll, and that's a way of giving your viewers some like visual breaks and not just looking at Isabel all the time. For example, I know that we have a lot of Isabel screen time here. So one of the things that Resolve has that I really like is that you can add some pretty like basic effects that work really well. And this is just one of them. You can play around. But the one that I used, for example, here is that if you click on the media clip and you go to the inspector, you will find an option that is called dynamic zoom. So let's see what it does. Check it out.
Working on my long-term projects for my degree.
So it creates like a camera movement, so it just doesn't look so stiff, you know? We can do that with this one as well because it's pretty long. So you turn it on and then you will see that it will have the same dynamic zoom effect. Okay, any questions right now? Because we still need to add some lower thirds and then the background music, and that's gonna be it.
Daniel, another question.
Yeah,
For
sure.
example, when you put the B-roll, it's possible to add music and cut the audio of the interviewer. For example, imagine that you put a B-roll, put a lower music in all the interview, and in this part of transitions or cuttings, put a music and then continue with interview, like interrupt the audio of the interview.
I would suggest that it's best to use different audio tracks so you don't have everything in just one. So
yeah, for example, you put the interview and you put the audio tracks.
Yeah.
And in these audio tracks, you insert a B-roll, no? And in this part, the B-roll put with the introduction music or with lower classical music for maybe.
And you're asking if you wanna keep that as part of your video, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. For example, what happened here is that I only had one audio track. So that's why when I placed the B-roll here, the B-roll was replacing the audio that I already had there because it didn't have anywhere else to go. So what I would do is to add another track. You have two audio tracks. So let's see what happens. If I add the B-roll, it's gonna put the audio of the B-roll here and you will hear it and you can just make adjustments there like, okay, yeah, I do want the B-roll audio to be heard. We'll still be hearing Isabel here, but probably this one, I'm just gonna lower the volume and that's it. The trick is to have different audio tracks just to make sure that it doesn't replace whatever you're working on if you're just using one track.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. That's one of the bad things of using delete. Better to use backspace because it makes some weird things here. Okay. Next thing, lower thirds. What are lower thirds? The lower thirds is the basic thing that you put whenever you're editing an interview because people need to know who this person is, the person who is talking. And it usually goes right in the beginning. how to add lower thirds in DaVinci. Okay, it's pretty easy. In the effects tab, you go to the titles, and then you will have a bunch of things here. You have the middle lower third. You can have some pretty cool things here because they're animated. See? Okay, so let's just pick one. I will probably go with this one. Okay, see, if I put it here, it's gonna mess around with the B-roll they already have. So one thing that it's not like super, it's not very useful, but you can put the lower third somewhere else and then just adjust the length and then just put it here. Okay, let's see. Let's see what it happens.
Hi, my name is
So you can see that the lower third appeared here. And it has the animation here. How do you change the text? It's really easy, as we've been doing it so far with the inspector, okay? So you will see here that when you select the lower third, you go to the inspector tab and then it says upper text. Okay, so the upper text, probably I would put the name, Isabel Dumb Writes, I think. And then I go down here, lower line, probably student, or you can put it the other way around, okay? And if I do that, I will have this.
Hi, my name is Isabel Drumright.
Oh, this is super short, so probably we can put it here.
Hi, my name is Isabel Drumright, and I'm from...
And then, of course, you can play around. You can add video transition effects here as well, like cross dissolve if you don't like it. You have a bunch of options here, and they're already pre-made, so you don't have to do anything about the animation or anything that has to do with that. Okay, lower thirds. You can play around with that, the effects. Remember, titles. Great. Finally, background music, because otherwise we will just listen to Isabel talking and talking and talking, and it's gonna sound weird, right? So what we're gonna do is that I already added the background music here. We can drag it here because we already have the second audio track, and you can see that it's super, super, super loud. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now, so I don't go deaf, is I'm gonna automatically just lower it down so I can hear properly. Let's see. It's still very loud for Isabel volume, so you need to adjust it accordingly, okay? And it's not going to be the same, the volume of the music in the introduction and the outro scenes, because you only need to hear the music. So the music can be a little bit louder there, and then just adjust the volume when Isabel starts talking. So let's do that. I already noted down that the general volume should be -25 because I already checked that. Let's see how it sounds. Okay, you're not going deaf here.
Hi, my name is Isabel
But
Drumright.
it's still a little bit loud when it comes to Isabel talking, right? So we know that we will want to have the background music at -25 dB or decibels. But when Isabel starts talking, we will probably need to have it to be, well, less loud. What I would do, this is an easy solution. Probably, I'm pretty sure that Resolve has like a preset of something that is called ducking, like the duck, like the animal. And this thing, what it does, it automatically ducks or adjusts the volumes whenever the software identifies that someone is talking, okay? But right now, it's super simple here. I would just cut the music when Isabel starts talking, which is here, cut. And when she stops talking, which is here. And what I would do is the one in the middle, I would make it lower. In this case, I will go with -35. Now, if you listen to the transition, it will probably not sound very good. Let's see.
Hi,
because it's like, boom, the music is super loud now. What we can do here is also add an effect, and we have the audio transitions effect. The one that I usually use is the crossfade with 0 decibels. What it means is that it's not going to mess up with the volume of either one of the clips. The crossfade -3 decibels, what it does is that it lowers the volume of the 2 clips by -3, and the other one, it increases the volume. So the most common one is this one. And let's hear how it sounds.
Hi, my
It
name
sounds
is
better
Isabel Drumring.
because you don't feel like the sudden cut, like, hey, what happened with the music, right? So we're gonna add the same audio effect here. You can see here. Oh, I'm gonna go to the end, and let's hear it.
100% in.
Perfect. Okay. And then what we're gonna do is that we don't need the music to be this long, so I'm just gonna adjust it to the end of the video. Okay? Any questions right now? Okay. I wanted to talk to you about the color correction, but we don't have much time, and I can send you a video about that in the email that I'm gonna send you when this workshop is over. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the export. So let's say you're happy with this. I would probably make some adjustment because I noticed some audio was not very well adjusted. But anyway, this is a workshop, so we have limited time, so sorry about that. Let's say that you're happy with the final product and you want to export it. So you would go to the deliver workspace, which is here. And then it would ask you, okay, so what's the file name, interview, where do you want to save it? You can select here the folder that you want. If you want to just export the video, the audio, or as a single clip or as an individual clips, you can play around here. The common exporting settings are the codec is H.264. That's like the standard one. Don't worry if you see this. It can look like intimidating, but it's not. The common resolution of HD videos, it's 1920 per 2080. Okay, and you can change it here if you want it to be less. I mean, high definition, but not that high definition. Then you can change it here. This would be the standard one, or you can just check if you want to export the video for YouTube, for Vimeo, for Twitter, you can do this here. Let's say you're happy with this. Okay, so everything is good. Add to render queue. There we go. Since I didn't mention the location, he's asking me where do I want to save it. Let's say here, and it's gonna pop up here. And all you have to do is to click render all. And that's it. It's gonna tell you, okay, so I already rendered 13%, and you just have to wait until the video is done. And the video is gonna appear, at least because I told them to, it's gonna appear here. So you can see the file here, but the file is not final still. Perfect. Okay. So I just want to show you how the video will look like. As I told you, probably will need a little bit more tweaking in the audio and the color, because you can see that the color is too white. She could probably look better with a little bit more like warm temperature. But anyway, so the video would look like this. So the introduction, then we have the Isabel drum ride, B-roll, dynamic zoom. There we go, dynamic zoom, and then the final transition, and that's it. Perfect, okay. So I didn't think that it would take that long, but it's actually 1 hour and 30 minutes after the hour. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Again, this is super basic. I wish we had more time. For me, this would be like a workshop series, not just one. If you need more resources, you have YouTube. YouTube is like the main source of education right now, I think. And with DaVinci Resolve, it has some pretty good videos that I can share with you later today in the email that I will send you. Okay. So anyway, yeah, any questions, comments, anything? Did you have any issues with something? I know that not all of you followed along the workshop, but just in case.
Yeah, thank you, Daniela, for the presentation and for sharing this. I have one question. Like, I don't know if you have a tip regarding the size of the video after rendering. You know, sometimes when you have to upload it on social media, because it's heavy and then yeah, difficult to publish. So if you have some tips with regard to that.
Yeah, well, the first tip is that don't render the video in a higher quality that you need to, because that's sometimes is the first mistake. And the size of the video ultimately depends on how much media footage you're using as well. Sometimes it's going to be unavoidable to end up with a pretty big file. What I've done when that happens to me is that there are some websites online that where you can upload the video and then they will just compress it for you. The disadvantage of that is that when it compresses the video for you, it loses quality sometimes. So yeah, the best software that I've used so far, but it's a paid software and it's from Adobe. It's called Media Encoder, and that one has really saved my life so far. Because you can just drag and drop the files and say, hey, please make it smaller. Yeah, that's one of the main issues that you will probably have. But just make sure that you're using the right dimensions, especially for social media, because the social media videos shouldn't be that heavy, that large, when it comes to Instagram and stuff like that. For YouTube, you don't have to worry, because I think YouTube has a limit upload of, I think it's 1 GB or 2. So you're all set there. So yeah, probably if you have any like particular issue, you can also send me a message or an email and I can help you with that, because I do have the software, and if you have that issue, I can help you with that with no problem.
Yeah, thank you very much. That would be nice.
You're welcome, Christian. Anything else? Any other questions? Other softwares that you can use? I usually use Adobe Premiere, which is really good, but it's super expensive. Adobe, as always, expensive. But Resolve is really good. And as you already know, if you pay the paid version, it's going to be just a one-time payment, and you're going to have it for the rest of your life. So that's really good. And they use DaVinci Resolve in Hollywood. So it's not like, oh yeah, free software. It's crap. No, it's a really good software. Perfect. So no more
One other thing,
questions? Yeah,
are we
Christian.
going to have access to the recording?
Sorry?
Are we going to have access to the?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. We're gonna share the recording with the AYCH project, and they're gonna upload it to the YouTube account. So yeah, as soon as we have the link, we will share it with you as well.
And also maybe the PDF version of your presentation.
Yeah, I will send that to you after the workshop for sure. Great. So we went over 10 minutes over the schedule agenda, but I hope I hope you enjoyed the workshop. I didn't get the time to go through the color correction thing, but I will send you some links to some YouTube videos that talk about that, because that's a whole different world as well, as long with the audio mixing. But yeah, you already know that. So yeah, I hope you learned something useful today, that you use this new skill in whatever you intend to do. And thank you for joining. Thank you, Lali. Thank you, Barbara, for being here. And you can send me an email with any questions. Yes, Javier?
It's necessary to send you a video presentation about us.
No. You don't have to. You mean what you've been working on today, right?
Yeah. I thought that it's necessary to make a video like that with our face explain or something more about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole
Okay.
point of the workshop. If you want to send it to me so I can watch it and maybe give you some feedback, feel free, of course, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
Okay.
Great. So we will send all of you a certificate of participation, the slide deck, and the recording as soon as it is available. And that's it. Thank you for joining. I hope you have a great day. And it was really nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.